People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all doing well and safe on this Monday morning. Now, later on we play Liverpool. I hope Arsenal's chefs and whatnot, pre-game meal, you need to give Liverpool a dodgy lasagna like what we did for Spurs against West Ham many years ago to have any chance against Mo Salah. You know, Salah's destroyed us and teared us a new one. Mane has done that as well. Firmino doesn't score many, seems to have his shooting boots on for Arsenal. And they got a bag of players, excluding the front three, that will trouble us. But I'll be there to review that game. You lot will be there to watch it. Maitland-Niles. Now, I'm sure last night, it's more of the same. But last night, courtesy of The Athletic and David Ornstein, you saw reports emerging in relation to Maitland-Niles' future. In short, he wants to go. The main important factors is what we know. You know, he doesn't feel he's getting enough football. Doesn't feel he has the trust of Arteta, which is interesting considering Ljungberg liked him, Emre liked him, Emre name-dropped him, and Wenger was a fan of his. Arteta does like him. Arteta does big up his abilities, but again, you know, he's spent definitely since the restart, and there has been new talk of attitude and things. He's bucked up. He's been in and out of the squad, and you know what? He's 22, 23 in August. He needs to think about his career, people. He needs to think about it. And for Arsenal, for me anyways, I don't want to see Maitland-Niles leave. I don't want to see Guendouzi leave. Like, I don't think either player are the players to take us to the next level, but I think they've got abilities to contribute and help us long term going forward. Like, I'm a big fan of Maitland-Niles. I think he could lock down right back. I think he has a say in midfield. But at the same time, the numbers are there. You know, he's part of the squad, but not part of the squad. You know, the occasional rotation, injury presents him with his opportunities so far. Obviously, he's barely playing, and when he does, he's playing everywhere. He's of the age where he needs to settle down and play somewhere and really settle down roots. He's 23 in August, you know. He needs to really settle down. He's made 30 odd appearances this year, but how many have been 90 minutes? At the start of the year when Bellerin was out, he was doing his thing, but he's been in and out of the team, and he needs to go somewhere where he can develop, where he's got the confidence of a manager, if that's what he believes. Crucially, he can play week in, week out, try to develop and increase his standing. Allegedly, there's interest from England and Germany for him, and to be fair with you, we're at the stage where we have to be cruel to be kind. I do think with Guendouzi and Maitland-Niles, there's players in there, but if I look at Maitland-Niles, he's contracted until 2023. He must, and the English premium, whether you rate him or not, he should be able to get 15, 20 odd kind of region. You know, you add in 20 to 40 for Guendouzi. I don't want, like I said, I don't want them to go. I don't want Balogun to be sold, but the club might be looking at it on top of the two players I've just named. If you can get 5 to 10 million for a striker, when you've got Eddie, Tyrese, John Jules, and technically he's never played for your team, you add that into the transfer kitty, you know. Selling Guendouzi and Maitland-Niles, I don't think the club wants to, but I do think it is a chance to get funds, especially if we miss out in Europa, especially with the COVID, to potentially rebuild our spine. Now, you know, you've heard talk of Partey signing a new contract, which would be typical Arsenal fan linked rumour transfer culture, but I can get it how releasing some of these players brings up funds. Like I said, you know, let's just say you get 20 for Maitland and you get 40 for Guendouzi, that's 60 odd million. You get 10 for Balogun, that's 70, before we even talk about players really and truly who needs to be out off the books before their minute, and that would help us crucially address our spine. Like, for me, a centre half wouldn't go amiss, and a centre mid, I would like 2 centre mids, I would like 2 centre halves, but I'm not too sure. Obviously, if you lose Guendouzi and you lose Maitland-Niles, I do think we're rather light in midfield, because if you all midfield options, because you'd only have Xhaka. Ceballos is on loan, so we can't really count him. You'd have Xhaka, you'd have Torreira, you'd have Joe Willock. You'd imagine Miguel Aziz is 12 months, 18 months away from wetting his feet at first team level. I urge caution, because he needs to assert himself at 23's level. And I know Saka's floated there at time to time, but we'd be quite weak. You know, he could still have a future here, but you know, Maitland-Niles needs to go somewhere where he's going to play, needs to go where he has the confidence. And like you all saw, and like I said in a video a few weeks back, he signed to a new agency, Colossal Sports Management. I don't know, just because he signed to the agency does not mean he necessarily has the same agent as Ward. I know AD Ward's the owner of the company, but Maitland-Niles might be looked after by someone else. But when I look at AD Ward, he's someone that doesn't take crap for his clients. He's someone that wants significance over their future, and there's talks at the end of the season between these two parties, you know, we might say you're going to get more opportunities, but I think he's changed management because he wants clarity. You look at Raheem Sterling, how rightly or wrongly he got him out of that situation. He got Oxlade-Chamberlain out of the Arsenal situation into a better one. So there's no way he's going to leave his client who's nowhere around it at a crossroads. You know, 1 minute he's a right back, then he's a centre mid. He's not really in the team. For me, I like Joe Willock, but I don't see what Joe offers that Maitland potentially can't at this moment in time, or can't get a run out. So you're seeing all of these things, and you know, I'm sure Maitland badly wants to play for Arsenal, like he said. So there is still hope he still signs, but you know, everybody's got a price, and with this rebuild, there are some players that, you know, there's very few players, even though there's people, like I said earlier, there's players that need to go more than Maitland-Niles and Guendouzi, but the players that, you know, who's really going to buy a soccer artist? Who's really going to buy a David Luiz who signed a new deal? Who's really going to buy a El Nene? You know, he's going to take Ozil's wages. Do you get what I'm saying? Ozil, obviously on ability, it's nothing to do with that. He's on big wages. And there's many other people like Lacazette's future as well. You know, we need to recruit funds people. He's made 96 appearances under four managers here. He's been in the first team. He made his debut in 2014. He's now here 6 years later, and is he any more established in the first team? I'd say he is, because he's a firm squad player now from being a promising youngster. But is he firmly established? He's had spouts in the team where he's done well, people. And as Athletic perfectly put it, he said he played a full part in each of Arsenal's 6 Premier League games after Mikel Arteta was appointed as head coach December the 20th, but has only featured in 4 of the subsequent 12 top-flight fixtures, all from the substitutes bench, and has spent 70 minutes on the pitch in total. So Maitland, that shows you, whether it was because of injuries or whatever, Arteta does believe in you somewhat, and it probably comes down to, you know, I don't know why Bellerin's playing ahead of you, but he seems, you know, Bellerin, he seems someone that's going to retain the faith of Arteta. So I get it if you want to go. They brought in Suarez. There's 2 men for that position there. You know, you can fill in at left back. There's still 2 men there. Midfield, he's not seen as a midfield option regardless of what Arteta is saying right now. So I understand why he wants to leave. But at the same time, you've got the ability to nail down the spot. So, you know, you've heard his attitude change. If he legitimately thinks like it's a thing where, you know, I've done what Ceballos has done and done what Guendouzi once done before acting up again, in that, you know what, I've got my head down, I'm behaving myself, I'm training, I play everywhere, and you're still not getting a look in and still not being involved in the squad, then I can't fault you wanting to move. You know, you do the numbers. For Arsenal, I'd like to keep him. I think there's a player in there. I think there's a player, whether he stays here or goes elsewhere, going to be a player. And it doesn't mean I'm here to say he's world class and all these things. But at the end of the day, with Arsenal, if we can get 20 odd for him, 20 odd for Guendouzi and the rest of the names I've said, then we can potentially begin a rebuild. That doesn't mean we're going to be significantly better, but I think I speak for most Arsenal fans in particular that watch my channel when I say you're tired of the spine of this club. Like, the spine is appalling. Like, you know, you can praise, you know, Arteta's shown he can coach. Look at Klopp. Klopp, obviously, Alisson and Van Dijk, I keep saying it, they make the difference. They're quality players. But do you think them 2 players would make the difference if the other 9, collective 11, if the other 9 didn't improve, if the defenders, as the whole defensive structure didn't improve from the goalie to the striker? It wouldn't be anything. Their quality shines through, and take nothing away from them. But Liverpool have a better outlook on defending, from the management to the players. The players are more in time. The game management from Klopp. Remember when Klopp first came here, he was playing the same way from the first to the last minute. Now he's a bit wiser with it, and no coincidence, on top of everybody moving in that direction, they're claiming their first title in 30 years. Now Arteta has improved us slightly defensively. Clearly, you know, weakness from set pieces still remain. Clearly, you know, individual errors are still a problem. These are still prominent things. But to have any hope, we need to start the rebuild. And I know Liverpool are really spending the Coutinho money they got, and most Liverpool fans I speak to, they're quite pessimistic in relation to signing players and, you know, for healthy outlays. But you get the point, you know. The facts are there, you know. If he's got offers from Germany, that might be good. A refreshing experience, getting away from the hype of England and things, you know. In England, if there's Premier League teams, at the end of the day, you've got the opportunity to play Premier League football. So his future will probably be decided at the end of the season, and there's not much more to say. Now, on that topic, people, with what I just said about Arteta wanting better players and things like that, he's kind of spoken about it, and he's looked at Liverpool's situation and offered some comments. He has said he was asked if signing a giant like Van Dijk, I don't think necessarily because the man's a man mountain, because he's, you know, he takes them up a level. I think what the commentator referred to, he said, asked if signing one of them sort of man there could change our fortunes. He said yes, as that is the way that I believe a team has to be built. And like I said, that's how it has to be built. Liverpool would probably be a good side if they didn't sign Van Dijk and Alisson and improve defensively, but they would not be Champions League winners. They probably wouldn't have reached that final where they lost it to Madrid. They probably wouldn't be Premier League titles people, because you can't build a top winning team backwards. Even if you don't necessarily think defenders are world class, you look at most title winning teams or teams that have won, they've had a decent back four that have collectively functioned. Look at Leicester. I can't even remember, but I'm pretty sure it was Wes Morgan and Hoof. I could be wrong, but they had a functioning back four. Any Arsenal team that's won the leagues has been a decent back four. Manchester United, City the same, Liverpool today. You know, they might not be all Fabio Cannavaros and things, but there's a reason for it, and we're no different. You build a house from the bottom top, people, and for years we've been top heavy. You know, you don't start talking about what TVs you want in the room, you know, where your study is going to be in your house before you put the foundations and the insulation and the basic plumbing and heating, people. Does it make much sense? You get it, people? That's the foundations, that's the minimum. Being able to keep clean sheets, being able to manage games, being able to learn from mistakes, being able to concentrate in the last 20 minutes of games, stop conceding the same goal from set pieces. That's the foundation. That is the foundation. When you can get the basics right, get managed games and all these things perfectly, then you can go on and talk about what wallpaper you want. That's when your strikers come into it. How many goals they can score, how much fancy play can we put together. Until we really change this whole club's collective outlook in defending, we won't change. And I think that's something that we're chasing years on, because is it any coincidence, for whatever reason, when you think of Arsenal young players, you think of these creative sort of man. You don't think of a centre half. When was the last credible centre half? We've had some fullbacks, some accidental fullbacks in Kieran Gibbs and Bellerin. Let's be honest, they played further forward in their careers, credit to them, but we haven't had a centre half since Tony Adams, like someone that's been established in the first team. You know, we've got people like Kyle Barkley that's having a good career at, I believe, Swansea. Luke Ayling of Leeds to get promoted. Semi Ajayi, who came to us via Charlton, I believe, and left and went Cardiff, and now is at West Bromwich Albion. These are no disrespect, but none of them are top level. I'll take Luke back, but none of them are top level, and none of them even got a chance at Arsenal. So our outlook on defending, we're chasing probably 20 years or so, people, on it. And he went on to say, they were conceding goals with some individual errors and some set pieces as well. You get one of the best defenders in the world, with the best goalkeeper in the world, with one of the best holding midfielders in the world, and you change it pretty quickly. He's obviously speaking in reference to Fabinho, who Emre actually wanted. And obviously, let's read between the lines here. You know, everyone can see Van Dijk is a certified centre-half. Everybody knew he was good before he went Liverpool. But it's like, you know, if you said before he went Liverpool, if you said he was the best in the world and all of these things, people might have thought a certain sort of way. Do you get it? So you could say, in a way, we don't need to go for players that are seen as that. And obviously I want world-class players, people. Of course I want world-class players. But what I'm specifically saying is our situation is different. We're not going to be able to spend 70 million on the centre-half. I wish we did, because Pepe's been a decent player for us. He's underwhelmed in elements and frustrated, but he's been a decent player. We spent an outlay of 70-odd million, not all together, but in terms of the whole deal, if all targets are met. When have we shown that intent to go for a centre-half for that outlay under the same premise of how we structured Pepe's deal? We haven't, you get it? So that kind of shows our mentality. But in Arsenal's case, what we need is just a centre-half that's levels above, better than what we have, a defensive mid better than what we have, and someone that can break the lines. And then together with that, forget about the breaking the lines midfielder and focus on the DM and the centre-half. You have a better outlook on defending, because, you know, if Van Dijk came to Arsenal right now, he'd make us significantly better. But do you think he would look as good at Liverpool as he does in that side? No. It wouldn't. You could slap a prime, put your Cannavaro, all of them within our Arsenal structure, and they will look, their quality will obviously show. They're undoubtedly quality players, but it's the system. Do you know, when Koscielny was in his prime, we're not praising Koscielny for being in a great system like Van Dijk is and playing well and showing what he can do and showing why he takes this team to the next level. We were praising Koscielny because we were all just doing the madness and just all over the place, and he was putting out fires. Do you get it? It's like when Torreira came. I know he's not on everybody's lips anymore, but when Torreira was in the Uruguay side, what did you see? You saw a structure, and then you saw Torreira, a man that knew his job and what he has to do. You still saw elements of what he's doing at national level at Arsenal, but again, like Koscielny is putting out fires. Like with Van Dijk, if Van Dijk was in this Arsenal team, it would be Kalas. We'd still be shipping goals. He would be a tiny bit better, of course, but we'd still be shipping goals, because one man is not responsible. responsible. Like, Van Dijk is not the only reason why Liverpool is sick. Neither is Alisson. Like, they take it to the next level. They've made their difference. Their contribution has no doubt played a part. But it is the system. It's the midfield in front of them. It's the set. It's how they all move together. Robertson's aware of what Trent is doing. Trent at the same. The centre halves are aware. You know, obviously at times, there's times Liverpool over the season have conceded some questionable goals, but they're up there for defensive stats. And it's true what Arteta said. And what I like about Arteta is, you know, he must know something, because you didn't come to this club if you weren't given some sort of assurances, or either given assurances in relation to what we're going to do in the market, or told there's no money and if you want to take this job, you take this job. But what I like about him is he keeps laying the gauntlet down to the owners and people above him in sly little ways. Like, I haven't got it to quote, but he keeps talking about centre halves, where he said, we must do this, we must do that, I would like this. I like the tone of how he comes across when he speaks and things. He also went on to say, you can see what happened straight away at Man City when Laporte came in, but we have to know that we have to do it our way, with our resources. We have to find a way. And that's only going to come where if scouts do their job properly, and if Raul Sanllehi leverages his contacts to get the right profile of player that ties into more closely what Arsenal's trying to do. Not these players on the wrong side of 30 that are trying to get paydays, like we have some already here. He also spoke about attracting players, and he said, and it all sounds nice and stuff, I won't lie, but I'm a bit, he said, we have an incredible history, an incredible structure in a beautiful city, and a style of play that attracts players. And that's true. You know, historically, Arsenal can rely on the historics of Arsene Wenger, you know, playing nice football and the French ties. That's whatever way we say about it. Arsenal never been a Champions League club, and you know, Pepe was sought after, whether offers were put on off him or not. Aubameyang was a fairly lethal striker, to put it nicely. In Europe, we still got him. I know Lacazette's stock falling, but you know, we still convinced Lacazette. So there's no way. I'm not saying these are Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozils of these worlds, but what I'm saying is, you know, we can still attract players. I think every Premier League team in their own merit can attract players. It comes down to how much money you're giving them, what project you're selling to them. Do they like you as a manager? And also as well, what their wives are saying. As fickle as that sounds, people, I can't speak too tough, but there are players that are leaving clubs in the summer because their wife hasn't settled, or their children haven't settled at their schools. So it's sometimes external factors. So there are reasons. Obviously, like Spurs can play on the London attraction. That's probably on top of Pochettino what attracted Ndombele. Footballers are human beings. You know, if any job, if you get offered to move to New York, you're going to consider the salary, consider the team you're walking into. You also got to think, New York's a nice city. There's Hudson River Line, skyscraper. You know, it's called the Big Apple, and all of these sort of things, people. And I mean, Arteta does sound quite bullish. Is it naivety? Is it, you know, just talk to save face and look like we know what we're doing, or is there legs to it? I don't know. But he said, that's what he said. And he said, and I'm telling you now, because when I'm closer to the market now, and when I speak to people, a lot of players want to play for Arsenal now. We don't need a lot of players. We need the right players. And he said, what we need to do at the end of the season is to see the direction we want to take, agree on ambition, realise that there are demands that are going to be huge, and move from there. And that's it, people. Agree on ambition. Do you want to really fight for top 4 and above, or do you want to keep going in free fall? And that's, again, that is firmly at the feet of people above Arteta, because Arteta can say what he wants, improve players, bring through players, coaching, all these things. In the grand scheme of things, Arteta is at the bottom of Arsenal when you talk about off the field. He's a head coach. He's the most disposable there, you know, and it's all on Raul Sanllehi and these lot, because I didn't think much of the Arsenal board, but the board really have no say. It's literally at Vinay, Raul Sanllehi and Hosfami. So they need to pull their finger out, whether that's scouts do their job, whether that's leveraging contacts, whether that's dotting I's and crossing the T's for contracts, keep staying at the club. It is down to them to provide a healthy environment for and revive this club back to full health on and off the field in all fragments. And this job is a very tough one. And do I necessarily believe those above Arteta have it in them? Only time will tell, but I am quite pessimistic on such. And like he said, we need to agree on ambition, realise the demands, because it is huge. It's a huge operation. We're not going to be able to move off all the players we need to move off. But there's significant players that need to be moved on. There's players that need to be moved in. There's contracts that need to be dealt with. And Arteta cannot do it alone. You cannot do it all in the summer. And do I get the impression that we're really planning things? As a fan, I'll never be in the know. But who knows, man? And he also said, if you're not in the Champions League and you say, okay, I don't invest because I don't have the financial ability to do it, but other clubs invest, then the gap becomes bigger. And that's true, you know. Even clubs that don't necessarily have star players and whatnot, they're all singing from the same hymn sheet. Like our club, it seems like some man are above Arteta are saying this, then they're saying that, then they want this and that. We're not singing from the same hymn sheet. So the gap will keep getting bigger while we keep trying to penny pinch, and it costs us more, people. And we're not learning from mistakes. Players on the field are not learning from mistakes. People above are not learning from mistakes. We're not learning from hindsight and applying better foresight, at least right now. And it is a source of frustration, people. I'm not going to lie. If we're not in the Champions League, which we are not going to be, it makes our job harder. If we're not in the Europa League, it makes our job harder. So it takes me back to what Arteta said initially a few months ago about how they're planning for 3 or 4 different scenarios. And that should have been planned a long time ago. There should be a list of targets. Okay, we can't get A, B, C, D. He's still good. He still ticks the box. Let's go and get him, because it is what it is in that regards. But we'll see what happens, man. But in relation to Maitland-Niles, you know, goodbye and good luck if he does move. In relation to Arteta, I can't disagree with anything he said. For now, it's always a pleasure. People, Deluded. I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking as usual.